Hey guys, this is 11.2, and in this lesson we're going to be finding the surface area of prisms, which we've already done a little bit in the net activities, but I'm going to give you a couple strategies here that is going to help this, hopefully if nothing else, make it go a little bit faster for you. So before we get to that, just a reminder of what a prism is and what a prism has, just so that you can have this in your notes. So a prism always has two bases. Sometimes you think about this as like the top and the bottom, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Your bases don't necessarily have to be on the top and bottom. What you want to look for are two congruent shapes that are on the opposite sides of your polyhedron. Okay. The other thing that all prisms have is they have rectangle sides. A lot of times you'll see them referred to as lateral sides or lateral area. That just means that you're talking about the sides. Okay, so I have a picture here, and I think it might be worthwhile for you to draw this in your notes as well. So this would be called a triangular prism. And the reason why it's a triangular prism is because the bases are triangle. And I chose this picture because the triangles aren't on the top and bottom. So a lot of people will look at this and they'll be like, oh yeah, there's a rectangle on the bottom, so that's the base. But that's not in fact true. The base is this triangle here, which I'll kind of outline in red. I'm going to put a big B on it. And then this triangle over here, which I'll also make red, and I'll put a B on that guy as well. Those are your bases. They're across from each other. They're congruent. They're the exact same size, the exact same shape. Okay, that leaves us with these rectangles, and it's going to be kind of hard to see here. Do it in blue. So there is one of our lateral sides. Here is another lateral side. I'll put the L kind of right here. And then our last one is this kind of back side here. So we end up with three lateral sides, which are all rectangles, and then our bases, which are the triangles labeled with the letter B. Okay, so now moving into finding the surface area. So again, you've already done some of this, but we're just going to go through it one more time just to make sure that everyone has the hang of it. But there's two good ways that you can find the surface area of a prism. So I'm going to go through two different methods. Method number one is the most useful when you're just given a net, or if it's easy to decompose your polyhedron or your prism into a net. And to do that, you really just find your base area and your lateral area kind of just manually, and then you add it all together. So on this net here, and definitely pause and take a second to get that into your notes. But it's really simple to find the surface area here just by filling in all the areas. So I'm going to start down here with this guy. That's one of our bases. The other base is up here. Those are our two chunks that are the exact same size, they're the exact same shape, and they're across from one another. Okay, so if I do 5 times 2, I'm going to get 10, and it's centimeters squared, but I don't really have enough room, so I'm just going to go with 10 for now. Okay, same thing up here. We have a 2 by 5, so we have 10. Okay, then I'm going to switch colors here. This rectangle looks like it's a 2 by 6. 2 times 6 is 12. This guy right here is also 2 by 6, which is 12. So technically, you really could have chosen those as your bases in this one, and that would have been fine. But I think it looks a little more obvious to choose the 10s as your bases. But you could have chosen the 12s as well. All right, and then lastly, we have this guy in the inside, which is a 6 by 5. 6 by 5, which is 30. And then we have another one here that's also 6 by 5, which is 30. Okay, so when you're finding the surface area, you're really just adding all of those together. I like to keep them a little bit organized by doing the total base area. So that would be our 10 plus 10, which is 20. And I am going to not be lazy and write centimeters squared here. And then we're going to add to it our lateral area. Our lateral area is 2 30s, which is 60, and 2 12s, which is 24. So altogether, 84 centimeters squared. Okay, so this is our base area. This is our lateral area. So altogether, our total surface area would be 104 centimeters squared. So if you have the net, and even if you don't have the net, I think that that's an efficient way. I think it's a simple way. I think it's an organized way, and you are always welcome to find your surface area that way. Okay. This second method, Believe it or not, this is the exact same rectangular prism. It's just been folded up. So it's that same one you just drew as a net, but now it's folded up into an actual three-dimensional shape. So take a second to pause to draw this to make it neat in your notes. And then we're going to use the second method, which is using the formula. So if you were to Google, like, how do I find the surface area of a rectangular prism, this is probably what's going to come up. It's going to say the surface area is equal to 2 times B plus pH. Okay, so what does all that mean? Well, B just means base. Okay, and the bases, we already talked about that. You have 2 of them, and then they're the congruent shapes that are across from one another. Okay, P stands for the perimeter of the base. So you just choose one of them, one of your bases, and find the perimeter of it, and that's your B. And then H stands for height. I personally don't love that it's called the height, because if your bases are not on the top and bottom, then it gets a little confusing about where the height is. So what I like to think of instead of height, I like to think of it as the distance between bases. The distance between your bases, and that will always work out for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's use this formula and use this shape here. We talked about the bases originally being like this side and this side. Okay, so I'm just gonna add right to our notes up here where I wrote base, the area of one of our bases. So I would just do this. Big B equals 2 times 5 equals 10 centimeters squared. Okay, perimeter of the base. So if we just choose one of these red bases, perimeter is the distance all the way around. So we have 5 plus 2 plus 5 plus 2. Which is what, 7 and 7, which is 14 centimeters. Not centimeters squared, just centimeters, because perimeter is just the distance around a shape. So 14 centimeters there. And then last one is the height. And remember what I said before, don't think of it as the actual up and down height. That's where people will get confused. They'll look at that picture and say, oh, the height is 2. That is not correct. The height is the distance between your bases. A lot of times it's that one number that we haven't used at all yet. The distance between the front and the back, our 2 red bases, is 6. So in this case, our height equals 6. And again, that's just in centimeters. Okay, so now substituting it all in, I'm going to go down here where I have a little bit more space. Surface area equals 2b, so 2 times 10, plus perimeter, which is 14, times height, which is 6. Okay, and then I'm going to just work them out individually. 2 times 10 is 20. That is your base area. Your worksheet is going to ask you to do these separately. So where it says base area, that's your answer there, 20. Okay, plus 14 times 6. 14 times 6 is going to be 84. That is your lateral area. And then we just add them together for our total surface area. 104. And it's going to be in centimeters squared. Same answer we got using the first method, just done a little bit differently. So it's up to you. Do what makes sense to you. Do what's easiest or most effective, efficient, most fun for you in the given situation. All right, and then we are going to do a couple more examples here. This video is going to be a little bit long, but that's okay. I think you guys can handle it. So for this one, I think I'm going to use that formula once again. I think most people are probably going to end up doing that. So that's where we do surface area equals 2b plus pH. Okay, so first thing is to find the area of the base. Okay, our base is the triangle. We had a triangle in the front, triangle in the back. We want to find the area of it. It's a triangle. So that's where we do base times height divided by 2. 12 times 5 divided by 2, which is 30 centimeters squared. Okay, next one is perimeter. Okay, right now we only have two sides of a right triangle. We have 5, 12, and we're missing the hypotenuse. Okay, so we could do the Pythagorean theorem, but I've done the Pythagorean theorem so many times in my life, and you probably have as well, that you maybe have this one memorized. If you have two legs of 5 and 12, the hypotenuse is going to be 13. 5, 12, 13. It's a Pythagorean triple. We've seen a lot of those. So you don't have to at this point show all your work on that if you don't need to. If you know that one, let's just write it down. So not 13. Well, 13. We can start there. So perimeter is 13 plus 5 plus 12. Okay, so all together, let's see, 13 and 5 is 18. 18 and 10 is 28 plus 2 more is 30. So 30 centimeters all the way around there. Okay, and then the last one we need is our height. Height is that number that we really haven't used yet, the distance between the bases, which is 10 centimeters. Okay, and now we can go ahead and substitute it all in. So surface area equals 2 bases, so 2 times 30 plus perimeter times height, 30 times 10. So remember once again, this answer here, well, I should actually do it first. 2 times 30, sorry, 60. That right there is our base area. And it would be in centimeters squared. Plus 30 times 10 is 300. That would be our lateral area. And then our total surface area when we're all said and done, 60 plus 300, 360 centimeters squared. And we're done with that one. All right, and I have one more for us. And this one will take a little bit of time to get into your notes. But I just wanted to show you one where we have something a little bit trickier when it comes to the bases. So this time we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided polyhedron. So it's a hexagonal prism, if we were to name it. And again, that formula, 2 bases plus perimeter times height. Okay, so base area. Remember, for a regular polygon like this, it is apothem times perimeter divided by 2. It gives us our apothem at 3.5. Okay, the perimeter, it looks like each side is 4. So 4 times 6 for the perimeter would be 24 all over 2. Okay, so what we really need there is 3 times 12, basically, because 24 divided by 2 is 12. So I'm going to grab a calculator and just do that. 3.5 times 12. Hop onto Desmos. 3.5 times 12, 42. And we're not in centimeters anymore, we're in feet. Square feet. All right, good news on this one. We've already found the perimeter of the base. It's the same perimeter we used here. Those are the exact same thing. So we already know that that's 24 feet. So we don't have to do any more work. And then our last one would be our height. That's this guy here, the distance between those bases. 8 feet. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and substitute that all in, and I'm not going to separate it this time. I'm just going to do it all in one chunk. So 2 times 42 plus 24 times 8. So our total surface area here, 2 times 42, 24 times 8. And 276 is going to be our final answer there. Just going to double check I typed that in right. 242 and 24 times 8. Yes. All right. And that is the final answer. So sorry that one got a little bit long, but go ahead and get to work on 7.2. Good luck.